In the quiet corners of a restless soul, a single spark can ignite a fire that eventually consumes everything in its path. Meet the merchant, a man once known for his laughter, now defined by a hunger that no feast could ever satisfy. It began with a choice, a simple decision to prioritize the weight of gold over the lightness of his own heart. He chose greed, and with that choice, the world began to change colors, fading into the stark blacks and whites of profit. The pursuit became a frantic dance. He gathered treasure silks from the east and jewels from the deep, stacking them like walls around his life. His hands grew rough from the friction of metal, and his eyes grew dim from the constant glare of his own wealth. Friends visited him, bringing news of the world outside, of the changing seasons and the simple joys of a shared meal, but he saw them only as distractions. He pushed them away, his heart closing like a rusted iron vault. Even his family became shadows. Their voices were drowned out by the rhythmic clinking of his rising fortune. Night after night, he sat in the flickering candlelight, counting. The numbers were his only companions in the growing dark. The more he acquired, the smaller his world became. The space meant for living was now merely storage for his obsession. He thought he was building a kingdom. He didn't realize he was actually weaving a cocoon of silence and isolation. Finally, the day came when he reached the summit of his ambition. He stood atop a mountain of gold, the master of all he surveyed. But the air at the top was thin and cold. There was no one to hear his shout of victory, no one to share the view. That night, he tried to rest. He sought comfort in the very objects he had sacrificed his life to obtain. But the coins were no longer gold. They felt like hard, cold stones, pressing against his weary bones with an unforgiving weight. He looked at his hands, expecting to see the glow of success. Instead, he found them stained with the dark, indelible ink of his own choices. The realization hit him like a winter storm. In gathering everything, he had retained nothing of value. His inner peace had been the currency he used to buy his misery. And now, the coffers of his soul were empty. He sat in the silence of his grand hall, a king of dust and ink, watching as the walls he built began to dissolve. Lost peace, a price too high for any man to pay, yet paid so willingly by those who forget the value of the present moment. The ink of his life began to wash away. The treasures, the halls, the very ground beneath him started to return to the void, leaving behind only the quiet, blank texture of a paper that once held a story of a man who had everything, but possessed nothing. Remember, the most precious treasures are the ones that cannot be counted, and the truest peace is found in letting go.